Okay, so hi, for those who I have not met before, I'm Taylor Barnett. I am a developer evangelist at Keen.io, and before that I was at the University of Texas at Austin, and I graduated in May with a degree in computer science. And during my time at UT, I helped organize Hack Texas. We grew it from a 250-person event to an almost 700-person event. And so now I'm helping y'all do the same thing. So what is this talk and what is this not? So I noticed that our promotional plans are running a little dry. We're doing a lot of the same things. And then also, we need ways to attract more attendees and a wider audience to make more inclusive events. And also, what this is not, though, is I'm a horrible designer, so I'm not going to tell you how to design your promotion. It's more the content and how you're doing it, the tone of it. And so, yeah, that's what this is today. So what are obvious ways to promote your event? I want to ask you all this, and I can give you something special if you think, what's like super obvious way to promote your event? Yes. Yes. Not super obvious, but that's an option. Yeah, so we hit some of these. You see a lot of posts like copy and pasted the exact same thing, 10 plus Facebook groups, like flyers all over campus, email lists, very typical ways, obvious ways to go about promotion. So why am I giving this talk? We could be doing a better job. So I broke it down into 3 areas, and we're going to individually go through each of those areas. They're very high level, so how do we make this happen? What are actionable steps to actually be able to accomplish some of these things? So the first one, promotion as a form of outreach. So one of the first ideas is that you can work with relevant organizations. Think about organizations that maybe aren't always within your community. This is a chance to make a connection. But one of the problems that this happens a lot of times, the organizers, they wait too late to actually contact these organizations. And they have sponsors themselves that pay money just to talk at their events, and you're asking to talk at the event. So you need to contact them early, work with them, and make sure they realize this is like a mutual relationship. This isn't just you trying to spam them. And then, yeah, so speak at their general meeting. Make sure that you are not the same day as one of their major events, because that's like really like, well, you know, not friendly way to go about trying to work with a new organization. And then also, when you go to their meetings, there's a few things you need to remember. So ask for like 5 to 10 minutes. Explain what a hackathon is, just in case some of their attendees might not have been to one or are new to it. Explain why it might interest them. You're not going to get everyone, so at least try to pertain to like what their interests are. And then also make yourself very open to questions and lower that barrier to entry for their attendees to come, or their members to come to become an attendee at your own event. So like a meeting that isn't, a meeting that would not be like they're doing something special or they have a sponsor, you don't want to like ask to go to that meeting because then that they might not like that, sponsor might not like that. So a meeting that they try to have like most of their members come to, that they do general things, whether that be planning, what's upcoming, different things like that. So find friends of your event. So I capitalize friends because think of this as like a group of people who share similar values with your event. They may or may not have been an attendee in the past, but are part of an organization or group or community that is not already part of your hackathon or your hackathon community, and so that they can help bring in more of their members and make it more relevant to them. Because sometimes we go into different organizations or communities, tell them they should come to the event, but they don't really understand like why should we really come. And another thing is, trust goes a really long way. So someone that organization or other community trusts, a trusted recommendation matters so much more than if you're just a random person coming into the org and spamming on their Facebook group. So the next thing is, let's make promotion more personal. So like we said, spammy posts, they're not very personal. So let's tailor the message to who we're talking to. You can keep to the same like core copy, like what you're actually writing, but you can alter it so that it actually is relevant to them. And so this is a great time to make a connection to an organization that you've never met before, but you're showing that you care about them, that they have their own interests and their own desires and their own career goals, and that it's not just for you to just like try to get as many as people possible to come to your event. And this is also a great time to use those friends that you've identified earlier to help do those posts. So necessarily it doesn't need to be you posting in the group. They can post on your behalf, and because y'all share the same values and trust, that it's much more effective than just randomly going around as organizers and posting places. And so the last thing is, promotion of your event is a great time to set the tone. What is actually, how does your event, before I go there, how does your event actually feel? What message does it convey to those attendees or possible attendees? Is it welcoming? Are you more focused on learning? Are you more focused on a certain area? So this is a really great time to do this through your promotion. And some of those ways are giving talks. So we talked about doing talks at an organization's meeting, but this is actually a sole separate talk that you actually could do technical talks to help bring in new audience for your events. And so maybe there was someone who felt unsure about whether they should go. They didn't know if they had the skills yet, and they probably weren't going to go because they just weren't ready. Having a technical talk that they attend might lower that barrier, and then they decide to come to your event because they now know something they didn't know the week before, and they feel much more comfortable in the environment. So that also can show off that you're really embracing support and learning, and that can then reflect onto your event, even before the event has even occurred. So this was really good post that actually came out of the very first HackCon. Tess Reinerson wrote about hackathon stories, about how we could be telling more stories about our events, our community, and our hackers. And so this relates to a great way to set tone, is that you can highlight hackers even before the event has even occurred. So our experience and values are really great to express to people who maybe don't understand how the community is, or if they have a bad view of the community. So this is a great time to change that perception. And so stories really live on. And one thing is, at HackCon, we can talk about our experience and values amongst organizers. This is a way to break that outside of just the organizer's circle and actually into your community and allowing people to read. So I got one example from PennApps in 2013. The first sentence is that Kirsten doesn't have an engineering background. That immediately lowers that barrier that she wasn't really the typical stereotype to go to the event. And it already shows you that, she must have improved from that if she actually was working on a hack that could save lives. So highlighting someone or a group or a team or anyone that maybe hasn't been coding since they were 12. Or hasn't won 3 events, because we're really notorious for celebrating those who are winners and not those who are just improving. So it shows growth. It's a great way to show they came from here, they got to here, and then maybe you could do that too. And it's also, how do we do these? You can do it through photojournalism, just taking pictures of people working on events with captions. To show different groups of people at your event or past events, or even, doesn't even have to be your event if this is your first time. And it's also a great way for press. So a lot of times we see in the press that certain of our values and experiences are communicated not always the way we would like them to be communicated by reporters. And so sometimes this would be a great, you could hand them off hey, we wrote about these people, this was a great expose, it's written for you, and you've done it in your own words, so you know exactly what you're going to see in the end. So I just wanted to go last over just a short promotional timeline. It's not totally complete, but I feel it hits a lot of the key points. So 4 months before the event. That's when you get just any website up. You don't have to really put much into it. Because at 4 months, that's when you're thinking about what do we want this website to even really like express. So that's a great time to actually think about how are we going to communicate to attendees what this event is about, and actually think what are our values as an event, as an organization, as a community, and then also how are we going to show other people this through our promotion. So it's a really great time just to like think about these things instead when it's too late. So 2 months before, like I said, contact those organizations early. Like, they'll be pretty impressed with you if you're already reaching out to them 2 months. Like, that means a lot to someone that you didn't message them a week before they had a general meeting and was like, hey, can I have some of your time? Sometimes they'll say no because they don't have that time. Write copy, so the actual, like, what's actually going to be in your promotions. It doesn't have to be complete, but you could have like some basics for people if they want to share the event. And then also Facebook post, email list. So this is around the time you're probably opening registration. So that's when it really gears up to like really get the word out. And it's also a great time to show off other hackers and people within your community, because then people will see that along with that registration has opened. And also update the website with registration and more information. So 1 month until the week before. So you're continuing all the same things. One of the things about updating the website with details, the more details you give someone, less lost they will feel the day of. I've seen like people come to events and feel like they didn't know where check-in was or they didn't know where anything was, and they just walked out because they didn't know, like they were just confused. So it's really great to like put that information out there so it's easy to access and not just like deep in your email or anywhere like that. And continuing giving talks. So those technical talks, like say you did one the week before, somebody signed up and you did it the week before, they were really unsure when they did sign up if they were gonna go or not because they didn't feel maybe experienced enough or they didn't know about a certain topic that they wanted to work on. A talk can change that. They can be like, oh, even if I maybe am not like a pro at this now, at least I know a little bit more than I did the week before, so maybe I can like try to do something at the event. And also continuing to highlight people within your community. So I just want to leave you, this is actually from Tessa's Hackathon Stories post. Stories are crucial to communicating our values across the hacking community. So think of promotion as telling that story, and you'll be a lot more successful than just like being spam. And I'll get these up, I included some resources. Bitcamp did about different things they did in their marketing, a little bit more design focused. And then Tessa's original Hackathon Stories post. And one of my favorites actually from the first HackCon also is Application Development Initiative at Columbia. Did this really cool talk about how awesome is isolating. And so that helps us think about when we are doing promotion, how we could be isolating certain groups within our community. And that's it. You can find me at Taylor_ATX on Twitter or Taylor at Keen.io. And then I think there's time for Q&A, and I have, for the people who gave the obvious ways, I have, and ask questions now, I have some like stickers and some notebooks. So questions? Anyone? Shai, do you have a question? Bitcamp's campaign where they made people design. Okay, oh yeah, because you can't hear. Okay, so what are my favorite marketing campaigns that hackathons have done, right? That's what you said? Yeah. Bitcamp did this thing where people were designing like their own like advertisement for Bitcamp, and it slowly became like all over at least my Twitter feed. I know maybe that's because I follow certain groups of people, but I have a feeling that it spread because people were constantly posting this image of like ridiculous things they had created, whether they were really serious things or not. It still got the word out that like, what is this Bitcamp thing and why is everyone posting it? So that was really cool. Any other questions? Okay. Is that it?